Okay. Ian's going to go for half hour, maybe a little bit more, and then I'm going to come back and finish the top down my morning process. Okay, folks, let's get back.
So I just left the recorder on for 15 minutes.
One of the biggest problems that we face from day one, well, day one for me goes back to 1990, so far, not that far back, but anyway, is what we call the lag factor. And you're beginning to understand that. The lag factor is the question of group ranking. You've now understood that groups are extremely important, and we call them wolf packs. And that's, in essence, what you see here. The predicament that we have had until recently is this business of so-called the lag factor. Why? Because if you look at group ranking as it is normally done, you find that it's that 1 year. They put mumble percent of emphasis on the first 3 months and then divide the remaining 3 quarters into 20 plus 20 and 20. And inherently, from the mathematics of it all, you have a lag factor. This has got over that problem. And that's why wolf packs are where it's at. And Ron has begun to show you that. I'm going to very quickly cover, because of course, we have 1/3 of the class here who are coach newbies. I'm going to very quickly cover the next piece, which is the percent B, or the Bollinger Band stuff. So let's very quickly look at this. It struck me that if I look at our friend Bollinger and his percent B in bandwidth, the mathematics of it says, hey, why don't you take percent B and multiply it by bandwidth? And I'll show you why on the very next chart. So using the best of both worlds. Yeah, marking time and fear and greed. We're trying to understand the best of all worlds. Next slide. And here it is. Look, percent B is this Johnny. And bandwidth is this Johnny. And if you take that, multiply it by bandwidth, you get these two canceling, and you have the last rows minus the lower bandwidth, divided by the middle bandwidth. And that, of course, gives us, in effect, an exaggeration. Because you've all heard of the bandwidth squeeze. In other words, when things are getting tight, the bandwidth gets very narrow. And all of a sudden, there's an explosion. And it's the same as the VIX. The volatility index, I told you, volatility is where it's at. And when you have that expansion in bandwidth and multiply it by percent B, now you get an exaggeration. And that's what one's looking for, the exaggeration. So that's the value of percent B times bandwidth. All right? And as a result of that, we get that focus of being able to see things. It's not going to be a lot sooner, but at least a few days sooner, so that you have an upper leg. That's the important piece. The all-important thing is to understand where things are now. And now, with this volume price analysis stuff, you've begun to understand the motion within a matter of days, as opposed to months. That's the difference. Next slide. All right, so here is the VIX with the Woody indicator. I call it the Woody indicator, But here's all the mumbo jumbo. You don't need to know that. All you need to know is green, yellow, and red. Next slide. And here it is. Look, if you look back at the time of the Black Swan, okay, the Black Swan, of course, was that flash crash thing that took place. Oh, I beg pardon. Black Swan was before that. I'm getting ahead of myself. 2008, oh, you remember that. Heaven help you if you had a 50% reduction in your jolly old nest egg and were retiring at that point in time. And then here's flash crash, and here's the debt crisis. And you say, but well, at least it's a few days before. You get an early signal with percent B times bandwidth. If we expand this, you'll see that. Turn to the next slide. And here's more of the same. Volatility has subsided and complacency has set in terms of where we were at this point in time. 2013 is down here. So you very quickly begin to get a flavor with percent P times bandwidth, tracking VIX, and all of this, of course, can be done with the work that Chris has done for me. Next slide. And well, here's where it is currently in terms of looking at percent P times bandwidth. And you can see the big signals. And here's 2008, 10, 11, and now 15. So let's move to the next slide. All right, bandwidth. Next. And more of the same. This is all the stuff that you need to know. Bandwidth, less than 0.05 is very common. At this stage, if the bandwidth is as much as 0.4, heaven, throw in the towel. You're in trouble. Next slide. And here's all the formulas for it, but it's all color-coded for you. You don't have to know all that detail, but it's there for you. We give it all to you, and you can read and digest that in your own time. Next slide. And here, to cut a long story short, if we look back to the NASDAQ, and when can we look at what the time frame is? I'm forgetting now. Anyway, the net of it is that here's percent B, here's percent B times bandwidth, and this is saying stay out, and it's confirming stay out, stay out. And then here the kahuna's coming in, and off you go again. So it's tracking, but at least giving you early warnings as to when best to get in again. Look at it. Percent B, and here's percent B times bandwidth confirming. And there the jolly old kahuna up, and away you go. Next slide.
Yes. Yes.
And more of the same. This is just giving you background in terms of the S&P 1500 as to how many stocks have a percent B greater than 1. And when it gets above 300, you can rest assured that something is happening on the greed side. Next slide. And there's the fear. It's all measurements that we've taken over time to give you flavor. But in essence, here's the Italy election. And we're running into fear at this stage. Next slide. And constant. No, we'll go on for another 10 minutes. Press on. Where are we here? Oh, Richard Arms. So, I hope I've got kahunas embedded in your brain. They are extremely important in telling you what's happening in the market. The market is driving the groups, which in turn is giving you this percent B times bandwidth. Now, with ARMS, it's Eureka and Phoenix. This is talking to the market itself. And of course, let's turn to the next slide. So we're looking at Eurekas and bandwidth. House impulse indicator. All right. These are all the things that we use at various points in time. Next slide. And more of the same. Strategy behind the HGSI suite of indicators. Dovetail the indicators that complement each other. The closed loop approach with baton passing. It measures volatility and momentum, and it eliminates the guessing work to a large degree. That's the essence of what all this stuff is. Next slide. So, with Richard Arms, what I plugged is the business of the impulse indicators for Eureka and Phoenix. The percent B one-day change is the business out of Bollinger. So you're coupling arms with Bollinger, and now you got it all. So those two fellows gave me the essence of how to manage the market itself. Next slide. All right, so here's Eureka, bulls are strong, Phoenix, bears are strong. Next slide. And there's all the formulas as to why, etc., etc. But in essence, it's all there for you. And of course, you have, what was that? That sounded like little sugar. We have a little Maltese. Dear little thing. All right, well, there you are. Anyway, we have a Eureka and a strong Eureka. And they give you these signals, and I'll show you that in a moment. Next slide. And here you are. You see, exhaustion after a long rally. In other words, here's the market going up and up and up, and you get a Eureka at this time. Say, what? At this late stage, look at the percentage from the 200-day moving average. You're into high greed at this point in time. But there it is, a climax run, and off we come. But look here, when it gets down here, you begin to see Eurekas, and off we go again. It's volatility. The price of poker has gone up. All right? Only short-term traders can play in the May to July time frame and win. Yeah? Next slide. And here's the reverse. Phoenix. Got to look at the downside. And there it is, all the formulas, etc., etc. Next slide. And there we go again. Look, Phoenix is coming in galore. So it's telling you, get out, stay out. And this is the bingo. What that is the relative strength index is less than 30, I think, or something like that, 37. But when you see these gray bars here for bingo, you know you're almost at a bottom. And then we start to climb again. So here you are, look. It's all in the chart. You don't have to know all the details. The point of it is this. When it's red like that, you're out of there. And when it's green, play till the cows come home. The next slide. Oops. Now what's this now? I got 10 minutes more. See, I pinched this 10 minutes. This is for the benefit of those who are totally new and are beginning to dovetail what I'm doing with what Ron does. And that's the marriage, if you like, between the pair of us that Matt and Ron have put together that gives you the strength of understanding the near term and the long term. Next slide. So, the folklore, the 4-year presidential cycle. It's interesting. The second year of a presidential cycle is when you get the most bear markets. Look at it. All right? Second year. Why? New guy has come in, give him the first year. Second year is up, Third and fourth year, you're beginning to look in terms of what's new. But it's the second year where you have the most bear markets. Interesting, isn't it? So you got to remember that. Year 2 is the worst. When will that be? Well, that won't be for another 2 years, right? 1916. Is it 3? 17, beg pardon. Good man. All right. So that's when you should expect there to be a problem. What is that? It's about 6 or 7 years from 2008. 17 will be 9 years, for Pete's sake. Long overdue. Next slide. And here we are back again with our beast, all right? The stuff that we did on the S&P 500, 77% of the time it turns back at 8%. For Pete's sake, 80% of the time, you won't go down more than 8%. But heaven help you when you get into this stuff. So that's the S&P. And the next slide. And there it is for the NASDAQ, as I showed you earlier. That confirms it. Both of them, same darn thing. This is the key point. It can land anywhere after 8%. So now you got it in a wink. Anything worse than 8, you better be careful. You get past 12, you're in dire trouble. That's it. 12% down from the high. Next slide. And look what's happened lately. Look at it. This is going all the way back to 1946. How many months has it been before we had a 10% correction? Well, those of you who take the newsletter have seen me putting this up month after month after month in the last 5 or 6 months. Until eventually, what did we find? A greater than 10% correction. 48 months, the third worst, or best, I should say, third best in all this time, since 1946. We were terribly extended, therefore should be expecting some sort of a, quote, flash crash. And that's the remaining piece of the story that I'll be covering as we move along. Let's move on one more, I think. And here's the other piece. You know, the data cycle, you know all that stuff. You know, you have 13 years or 17 years in terms of life cycles. Trotting up and down, and then days of wine and roses to the tech bubble, and down with Black Swan, and off we go again. Who knows? Next slide. Where are we? Hindenburg Omen. I've got 10 minutes more. Look at that. Next slide. Strong warning. This thing has got played out of date. This Hindenburg Omen stuff. Why? Because they changed all the parameters on the NYSE. Down good barometer at one point in time. But now, of course, they've changed the parameters, and therefore it's a little bit dicey. But nonetheless is used as a tool by the big guys. Oh, the Hindenburg Omen is struck. Be careful. Be careful. It's true that there has never been a bear market without Hindenburg signals galore. Never. However, that's only a small fraction of the time. Most of the time, it's a minor correction. So don't be hoodwinked into these jolly old beasts. But let's take a look at this quickly. Next slide. And there's all the data in terms of this stuff. And of course, it now uses, rather than the current stuff, it's rather the previous requirements for the NYSE. Now, of course, they've changed the parameters. So who knows how good it is. Poor chap has passed away. I forget what his name was. Isn't there? Next slide. Here we are. Jim Micah. I think that's the fellow. But there's all the detail in your time. Next slide. And here it is. It shows you the parameters that we used for arriving at the Hindenburg Omen. Next slide. And here it is, as a for instance. Going back in time to 2006, right? Here were several Hindenburg Omens, and sure enough, 11% drop. Here's a 14% drop. All right. Not a bear market. Not. Next slide. But look at this, Johnny. Here's 2007. Look at it. And then the crash of 2008. The real black swan that we had there. Next slide. The big gold signal. All right. I said big gold is extremely valuable. Let me show you why. When the RSI 14 period goes below 30, that is a rare occasion. And so I was able to pick this up. I said, oh, let's watch this, Johnny, and see what I can get. Next slide. And here are the parameters. It's all there for you. You can look at it in your leisure. But that's not where you look. You look at it on the jolly old slide. Next slide. And there they are. Look at this. This is the period from 2003 to 2007. Look, there's a bingo. And right behind it is a eureka. Right behind it. And off we trot again. And there's a bingo. Look. And there's eurekas. And there's a bingo. And there's eurekas. And there's a, and I'm getting redundant. But the important point is Take those two together after you've had a big correction, and by heavens, watch for those bingos followed by Eureka. Get in, because that's the time to trot. Look at it, look at it. But now at this stage, of course, we're in fact extended again. And that led to the slide. This is only true in a long bull market rally, but is indicative of good times to come. So those two married together is where you look in terms of the market. I don't use the NYSE on this. I use the NASDAQ. It's good enough for government work. Next slide. And here it is. Look at what happened in 2007. Look at the bingos below, all the way down. All right, next slide. Bongo, well, all right. Oh, this is good stuff. This is work done by you folks. A group of 5 led by Brother Robert at the back there. Robert Mentowski, Jeff Scott, Dave Steckler, Lou Potts, you know all these people, and Galati. They came up with the bongo yes and bongo no signal. Excellent. Watch. Next slide. Bingo, bingo, bongo. I'm so happy in the jungle, you know that. Eh? Here they came up with this, and these are the criteria in terms of a bongo yes, which is green, and a bongo no, which is red. And they've done it for both daily and weekly. And voila, we've got, in fact, another signal that tells you watch out. Brother Gil Morales uses this stuff. Make no mistake about it. He's plucked Eureka, Kahuna, and bongos and married them with his jolly old pivot points and gap ups. It's all there. We'll talk about it this afternoon. Next slide. And there it is on the Sunday. Next slide. Staying on the right side of the market. All right. Next slide. I've got 5 minutes more. Here it is, the roadmap to hard heaven. If you don't believe it, it has happened year after year, month after month. Look, go all the way back to 2009. This is the start of 309, all right? And here's the market strong rally. Look at this. Eureka's below, and there's a kahuna. Off we go after that big drop of 50%, all right? And here, no Eurekas, but phoenixes. Look at the 2 phoenixes, one here and one here, and down she comes. But there we go again. Eurekas and kahunas and lockstep and play, and off you go again. All right, so these points are things to be watched in terms of understanding the roadmap to hard heaven. Next slide. I say, come on, Ian. That's just one example in 2009. Fine. But here again, same business. And let's move on to the next one. And here it is again. Flash crash, debt crisis, jobs. Same stuff. Put a stake in the ground, move the stake after you've been up to the flash crash and correct it, and move again. And there you are, you can see all the greens and reds in your leisure. Next slide. And there it is, look at it. 2009, giving you confirmation that the move was on again and again. Next slide. And more of the same in 2010 and 11. So watch those signals, and when they dovetail together, get on with it, get moving. Because look at all this mumbo jumbo. Next slide. There you are, more of the same. Next slide. Didn't think I could go this fast, did you? It's just to understand the message. The message is so what? And the so what says these signals coupled together, the more you have, the merrier. And the sooner you in fact watch that, you're in and working. Here's 2012, for example. Correction phase, fakey phase, and the rally phase. You know all that stuff. Excuse me, next slide. And more of the same. And again. And there we are, I'm finished at 5 minutes to go. Where's Brother Ron?
I'm back here.
He's there. There you are, Ron. I think that's been worthwhile, right? I'm looking after my newbies, all right, so that you understand the message as it's going along. And you'll be watching for these beasts along with what Ron covers in his, BPA business. It's all dovetailed. And it's just, wait till you get my final message. What's the next one? Let's take a peek. Oh, how lovely. Read marketing, market time. Next slide. Oh. This is what's coming, all right. Those of you who take the newsletter, you say, hey, Ian, I read your newsletter. It's out of date. It's out of date within a week. But have no fear, Woody is here. All right. I've updated it. I've got late breaking news for you. And I'll give you that too. Ron will have to put it up for you. And I'll use those latest slides because a week has passed. And for Pete's sake, you will soon see it, that by heavens, the market has trotted. Now what comes is in the next week or so. Next week is the telling week. I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's this afternoon. And all I have is about half an hour to do this afternoon. Isn't that great?
That means I'm gonna have to do more.
You're not kidding. All right. There you are.
Let me say
All right.
this. And,
Hey, we need another hand for Brother George and Matt. They have really come through. Our entire aim was to build a better mousetrap. And by heavens, now with the latest stuff that we've got it by the, thank heavens we can say so. There's not a woman here by the Pinakas. All right, and we're pulling. That's where we're at. Okay. Hey, that's interesting, huh? A single woman in the tips. Wow, must have scared them away. Pat Turner, she's stalwart. Yeah, really helped me as you